Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bobby, and I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited because on October 6th, that's not this coming Tuesday, not tomorrow, but rather the following Tuesday, at 3 o'clock, we're going to start our supervised practice again. And that'll be from 3 to 4:15, 75 minutes every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Once the time changes, we'll probably move to 2 o'clock. But for now, it's 3 o'clock to 4:15 on Tuesdays and Thursdays starting October 6th. If you need details about that, let me know, and I can provide them for you. And also, if you want to book your spot, you've got to do it here at Cap Rock. It probably doesn't do much good to call me unless I happen to answer the phone and I happen to be standing behind the counter at Cap Rock, because that's where the book is kept. All right? And I cut it off at 8 people, so book in a hurry when you know you want to do it. All right, so today's lesson. Now, when I was preparing this, it occurred to me today that I have been afflicted by, one time or another, just about every swing ailment known to man. You know, I didn't start golf until after high school, and I played all the time. And when I was about, this particular story dates back to, I was probably about 25 years old, and I was still a 5 handicap. It was a couple years before getting down to where I turned pro and took my player ability test and all that. But I remember playing with this guy, and today's topic is the width of stance. So you know, that's today's topic, and I'll tell you where this originated and why I'm so intimately familiar with the struggles one might encounter when it comes to not having the proper width of stance. But I was playing with this guy. He was about a 16 handicap, and as I say, I was about a 5. But on this particular day, the guy I'm playing with, his name was Junior. He was about 70 years old. He happened to shoot even par on the front 9, and I was struggling, and I kind of bogeyed, double bogeyed. Anyway, I shot 45 on the front, and he shot 36, and there I am on the 10th tee with this 16 handicap who just beat me by 9 shots on the front, and he said, "Bobby, can I give you a tip? This is gold. I got it from my son. It's helped me, and in fact, I just shot even par." I said, "I know you shot even par." And not wanting to be rude or anything, I said, "Yeah, sure, let's hear your tip." He says, "All right, take your stance." So I took my stance. He says, "Now, bring your feet closer together." What? Bring your feet closer together. Oh. A little more. A little more. There. Now, hit it. I said, whoa. That can't be right. What are you talking about? He says, "See, that way your feet ain't no wider than your hips." I said, well, what does that do? He said, "Didn't I just tell you? Bring your feet in close together. That way they ain't no wider than your hips." Now, not one to argue, and realizing I wasn't going to get a better explanation than this, I went ahead and hit my drive, and it was the best shot I hit all day. Right down the middle. Knocked the next one on the green. This is on number 10. Parred the hole. Parred the next hole. Parred everything to 15 when I made a birdie on a par 3. Parred 16 and 17 and birdied 18, all with my feet right next to one another. Just shot 34 on the back. Whoa, he's right, it was gold. But what happened to me in the weeks upcoming were that my swing absolutely fell to pieces. But here's the problem. He had proven to me. You know, I shot 45 on the front, and after receiving his tip, I shot 34. That was ironclad. And there's a lot to knowing what to fiddle with and what to leave alone. And no matter what, no matter how bad my swing got over the next 6 months, because it absolutely fell to pieces, I ballooned all the way up to an 11 handicap. I was not going to go back to a wider stance because he'd already proven to me. That was ironclad. That was what I was going to do. And finally, when I had lost all my accuracy, I'd lost all my power, a friend of mine, Harry, who was also sort of a mentor and teacher, he said, "What have you done to your golf swing?" I said, what do you mean? He said, "You're an arm swinger." And I'm going to tell you, that was hard to take. You know, do not tell me that I'm an arm swinger. It's like pouring acid on me. And he said, well, your swing used to be athletic. He said, "Take your stance." I took it, and he said, "Now spread your feet out a little bit." And now spreading them out to here felt like I was here because I'd gotten used to being so narrow. "Spread them, more. He says, "That was your old stance." I said, "No way I was ever this wide." He says, "No, it's not even wide. That's a normal stance." He said, "Now hit the ball." Well, the first one wasn't very good. And he said, "You've trained your hips and legs to not work anymore." He says, "Now you've got a wider stance. Do what you can do with a wider stance. That is, now you've got a leg to shift to. Stay centered on the backswing and go to your left side and hit that golf ball." Well, the first one took off like a cannon. Best one I'd hit in months. What I didn't know then, and what he was trying to tell me then, now I know now from having taught so much, is that if you have a narrow stance, and that becomes a deal, eventually there's no transfer of power from one foot to another foot that's only 6 inches away. So eventually, if you play long enough like that, with your feet close together, you train your hips to not work. You train your legs to not work. You render a weight shift useless because there's nothing dynamic about going from this foot to this one when it's only 6 inches away. Now, I want you to think about this for just a moment. If there was a door right here, and it opens this way, and I closed it, and I stuck this golf club under there at an angle, right underneath the door handle. If someone came in here and tried to open it, they couldn't get it. Why? Because it had a brace there. And however, if this club was vertical against the wall, it wouldn't be a brace, it would just get pushed over. Okay, and so a leg that is vertical gets pushed over. There's no stability to it. You've got to be locked in between two legs that are angled toward you. All right, out away from you might be a better way to say it. So it offers a brace, but the other thing it does is it gives you something to push off of and shift to. Meaning, if I'm in this position and I keep this leg at this angle away from me, doesn't that just look like I've got something with which to push toward the target on the downswing? And because this one is also braced inward, I can shift to it. If I got way out here, I would topple over. We don't want legs that are vertical. There's nothing athletic about it. And so the big thing, the big takeaway I want you to know right now is you should stay steady on your backswing. That is, stay centered. But on the downswing, immediately you've got to go to your left foot. And if you've had your feet too narrow for a while, there's a good chance you've trained your legs to not work. You've rendered the weight shift useless, or at least non-existent. All right, and so what are we trying to do here? I want to set up to this thing. I want to have my legs away from my hips. Not too wide, but certainly wider than my hips. Shoulders have nothing to do with it. All right, oh, shoulder width apart, that's nothing to do with it. It's your hips. They've got to be going out from your hips. All right, and then I'm going to stay steady on the backswing and make sure I go through on the downswing, and that ball should come off of there with a thunderous crack, and I know that will help you. So let me say it again. We're trying to get our feet wider than our hips. Doing so allows us to have a little bit of a brace on the backswing. If your feet are vertical, someone can do that to you and knock you over because your legs are going straight from the ground at a 90-degree angle up to your hip sockets, and there's no stability, and feet that are equally as wide as the hips. All right, so I look forward to seeing you next time. If I can do anything for you, you let me know.